South Africa has called on the UN Security Council, the body mandated to maintain international peace and security, to urgently convene and address the current situation in Venezuela. And this after the US conducted a large-scale military strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolás Maduro, who has been captured alongside his wife and flown out of the country. Pretoria says it views this as a violation of the United Nations Charter, which requires all member states to refrain from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. The International Relations Department says the Charter does not authorize external military intervention in matters that are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of a sovereign nation. All right, and Venezuela has been making headlines for the better part of today. And for more on this, let's now bring in Jagruti Dave, SABC News correspondent, joining us now from Washington. And Jagruti, thank you so much for your time this evening. I mean, just a few moments ago, we saw the US President Donald Trump giving a press briefing detailing that operation that took place in Venezuela.
Yes, indeed. He was talking about what he called the extraordinary military operation of air, land and sea that was used to launch a spectacular assault, as he put it. He said that no nation in the world could have achieved what America achieved. He compared it to the attacks on Qasem Soleimani, al-Baghdadi and Iran's nuclear sites. He said they captured Maduro in the dead of night along with his wife, who are now on their way to the United States to face American justice. He said they're both going to be indicted in the Southern District of New York for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States. He claimed not a single American serviceman was killed in this operation and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. Just before he gave this press conference, he tweeted a picture which he said was of Nicolás Maduro on the ISS Iwo Jima, the ship bound for New York. In that picture, Maduro is wearing a grey tracksuit. He's wearing headphones. His hands appear to be handcuffed, and he's holding a bottle of water. And this is part of this enormous US operation that's been going on for weeks now. He says that it is because Venezuela is importing a huge amount of illicit drugs into the United States, and because of their operations, Donald Trump has claimed in that press conference that 97% of drugs coming into the US by sea have been stopped. Most of those from Venezuela, he claims, because of the US's operations. He's claimed that he said that the United States is going to now run Venezuela until they can come to a safe, proper and judicious transition, in his words. He's not given an end date for that. According to the US president, the United States is running Venezuela. He says we want peace and liberty and justice for the people of Venezuela, including for Venezuelans who want to go home. And he says US oil companies are going to go into Venezuela. They're going to put millions of dollars into oil infrastructure to make the country rich. He alleges again that Maduro is a kingpin of drug trafficking operations, bringing illicit drugs into the United States, saying he personally oversaw the Cartel de los Soles, and he says that many Americans died because of Nicolás Maduro.
And Jagruti, staying with the latest from Donald Trump, also talking about the fact that the US has taken over Venezuela and they will run it. How exactly will that look like?
Well, it's not exactly clear what that is going to look like. This has been tried in Iraq. We've got previous examples. And of course, what's happened in Iraq is really a blueprint for many things that can go wrong with this sort of intervention. We know from Donald Trump in an interview with Fox News, he has not explicitly backed anyone. The opposition leader who won the Nobel Peace Prize, she has commented saying that she's ready to assume responsibility there. And take over, but Donald Trump has not mentioned anything about who that person to lead the transition in Venezuela would be. So there's lots of unknowns at this stage. All we do know is that at the moment he's saying the US is in charge there.
Talking about something else that was really a hot topic is the issue around oil. He mentioned that, saying that we're going to allow people to get oil, and also saying that of course the US U.S. built the oil industry and it was taken away from America. What are your thoughts when it comes to those sentiments from U.S. President Donald Trump?
Well, Venezuela has long been saying that this whole operation that the United States has undertaken is to overthrow Maduro and get at Venezuela's oil, something that the Trump administration denies. They are saying that this is an operation to protect Americans. This is to protect Americans from the influx of illicit drugs. That is their justification for these operations. Now, the issue with oil that Donald Trump is talking about and his administration is talking about stolen American oil, he appears to be referring to when the oil industry in Venezuela was nationalized, decades ago, a couple of decades ago, and the American Western oil companies were kicked out of Venezuela. And this whole idea that the nationalization and the successive governments in Venezuela have contributed to the impoverishment of the country despite there being an oil-rich country. So this is the narrative, and this is what Donald Trump appears to be referring to when he's talking about bringing back, returning stolen oil, getting American companies back into the United States. But also he's saying, as he said in that press conference, that it is to make the Venezuelan people wealthy again, to bring the country back on its feet again, as he's putting it.
And lastly, before I let you go, Jagruti, also talking about a second wave that they are anticipating, saying that, well, they are prepared for a second wave. But for now, they probably won't conduct a second wave, but needs be, they should go in for a second wave in Venezuela. I mean, what are the sentiments coming out from Venezuela, particularly when we are hearing this rhetoric from the U.S. president talking about a second wave?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the comments coming from Venezuela are that this is, an illegitimate attack. This is an abduction. That there's lots of, the vice president in Venezuela still appears to be safe there in the country, and there are, people in Maduro's government who are now looking to try and succeed him. To see, they are arguing that the government has not fallen because Maduro has been taken. There are others there who can take his place, but this second wave, the Trump administration is saying, is not necessary because their aim was achieved in that first strike that they've conducted, that operation to extract Maduro and his wife and bring them to the United States. They said that they were prepared for a larger, bigger attack, but that won't be necessary. This is something that a senator from Utah, Mike Lee, spoke to Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, earlier in the day, and he had also said this, that they are not anticipating any further action in Venezuela.
All right, Jagruti, thank you so much for your time and for that update. That's SABC News correspondent there, Jagruti Dave, coming to us live from Washington with that update following that press briefing by U.S. President Donald Trump.